Hey, welcome back. Today we are here with my friend Maayan Gordon. She is so fun. I want to tell you really quick how we met. I had a mastermind retreat that I was running in Florida, and with just a few days' notice, we had some extra rooms, and the person running it with me, Chip Hopper, filled up those rooms by calling some amazing people who are ready to pivot the last minute and say yes to an opportunity that presents itself. So he called her up and invited her. We met, and became instant friends, because anyone who can pivot and say yes to run away to Florida to stay in a 10-bedroom Airbnb with a bunch of strangers is the kind of people I want to be friends with.
What possessed you to go?
Yeah.
I mean, I am someone who at this point in my life, I want to, spend more time with my friends. Chip is a good friend of mine, and I wanted to spend time with him. So that's what made me say yes.
It's amazing.
And the mansion.
And a bunch
obviously.
of friends you
that's a good thing.
hadn't
It's like
met yet, but
mansion,
now we're all
friends.
super close.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Oh,
he
yeah.
told me that it was, you had it booked for like 11 days or something, a lot of days. And I was only able to make the tail end. And he told me that, the main mastermind days were, so I thought it was just going to be me and Chip. And then you guys pull up and it's a van full of people. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Let's roll. Let's do this. Yeah. So tell us about your LinkedIn and your TikTok channel and how you got so many followers. And then we also want to hear about your year-long tour that you got a sponsor for, because that's the dream of many people, right? So how did that all come together?
Yeah, so I was running a glass blowing business for about 4.5 years before I jumped onto TikTok and LinkedIn. And what prompted me was we were just super reliant on Instagram. We were crushing it on Instagram, and then they changed up the algorithm. And I learned a very hard lesson that you should diversify when things are good before waiting for things to go bad. But we lost a lot of revenue really, really quickly. And so I was just looking for new places to be able to connect with audiences and find customers, and really didn't know much about either platform. But TikTok took off for me really before I even knew what was going on with the platform. I'd figured out how to post some content and woke up one morning and had a video go viral overnight. And that just piqued my curiosity.
How many views?
Overnight, it got around 2 million views.
Wow.
But that video, I think, ended up, right around 10 million.
Wow.
And still trickles in some views. So TikTok's a really evergreen kind of platform for content that performs really well. It was a bunch of glass blowers putting together a giant realistic looking sea turtle.
Well, if there's anything that's going to be 10 million views,
Right.
that would be it, right?
Sea
That's
turtle
like
glass
some
blowing.
perfect
Sea turtle glass
content.
blowing.
Yeah, has a good advantage
Yeah.
when it comes
Yeah.
to content. It's very, very visual. And then on LinkedIn, I actually really just started telling my story. I created a series called The Real Life of an Entrepreneur. And I just started part 1, part 2, and every week I would do a summary of here's how much money I made, here's how much money I spent, and here are all the other things I did, because I was really sick of seeing people misportray what entrepreneurship is like and manipulate people by saying, I'm a 7-figure earner, I have a 7-figure business, when their profit might be honestly negative.
Right.
Yeah, or minuscule.
Yeah.
And I wanted other people who were, beginning out in entrepreneurship to know that your worth and your value in your business is not predicated on how much money you made that week. If you're doing all these other things like showing up on podcasts, sending out proposals, working on your business, right? The fundamentals of your business, those things have value and significance and should not be diminished compared to just revenue.
Tell us about the tour.
So the tour, I started out.
You mentioned there's a lot of people that would
are
like to do
super
that.
fascinated because
But-
it came from the sponsor, didn't it? They offered it to you, or did you pitch
No, this was my entire,
Okay.
I conceptualized this.
You conceptualized
But
it.
I'd say a lot of people would say, I'd love to go do that.
Yeah.
You see all this stuff online, you're like, that looks amazing. But when it actually comes down to doing it, that's a different story.
Because you were in an RV with your husband and 4 dogs.
That's
your
right.
entire
4 dogs.
year-long tour.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, tell us about how you formulated it and what happened.
Yeah, so I think the key is not to put conditions on the things you want to do. Decide to do it and decide that you're going to do it no matter what. And so that's what we did. We said, we're going to go on this trip, whether we get the sponsor or not.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then I just started putting pieces together. And my hope was that I would get a sponsor. My intention was that I was going to get a sponsor, but I wasn't attached to that outcome. So I think one of the things that I've learned as an entrepreneur is set firm goals, but be completely completely unattached to them, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And for example, you might come across something that's a better opportunity. If you're so attached to a goal, you might not even see that that's an opportunity that comes your way. Or again, if you're attached to a goal, you can really get down on yourself sometimes when you're approaching the time period you've set for that goal. So I think if you're really attached emotionally to the goal, you start to create these negative emotions that actually prevent you from achieving it. So I've always just gone with the mindset, here are my lofty goals. Whatever happens, though, I'm going to do my best, and great things are going to happen because of the work that I'm doing, not because of a goal that I set.
I like how you said the conditions. Don't put your conditions on it. Also, like, I think it's the start that stops entrepreneurs, right? Like, how many times do you hear entrepreneurs, hey, I'm going to wait until I get this one thing. Once this is just right, then I'm going to go do my YouTube channel. Or then I'm going to go put it on TikTok, and everything has to be perfect. And if you talk to a lot of the influencers, like, hey, they just have their phone. Yep. And some of their best videos come from their phone.
I would say that's a human thing. So we got a ton of that traveling on the trip, where we'd show up in RV parks, or we'd, go walking into towns, and I talk to everyone. When I go into stores, I engage the people who are working at the store. I go, how's your day going? Like, tell me about yourself. What's it like in this town? What's fun to do? Hey, we're traveling. And I kind of do this expressive, emotional thing. So I have pretty strong emotions, and I lean into them with my body language and facial expressions to invite people to engage me. So maybe I'll go into a store and I'll go, wow, that is such a cool dress. Oh,
brilliant.
Ben, come check this out. And then people feel really comfortable.
Actually,
going,
I just want to see what you're looking at.
And people go, where are you guys from? Who the hell are you?
Right, yeah.
And I go, well, we're on this tour across the country. And through doing that, people all the time would be, oh, I've always wanted to do that. Oh, that's my dream.
So that's a dream for a lot of people. So what ideas did you have in place that you could share with people if they didn't have a sponsor? How would they provide income in order to tour the country for a year?
Yeah, so remote work is obviously something that you can do pretty much anywhere. We used a Verizon Jetpack, which actually worked incredibly well. There were very few places we didn't get internet. That's something that's really improved compared to 10 years ago. That wasn't really as much a feasible option. And then in terms of, how to make money, there's so many different ways, from creating some type of freelance work that you can do to a lot of people will get work at the RV park they're staying at. You can, say, hey, we're coming into town for a week. Can I do some work to get a free spot to stay? Do you have any openings where sometimes they'll give you the free spot to stay and pay you on top of that? You don't need to make a ton of money to be able to travel. And then, for me, my big idea was structuring this tour. And the way that I was able to get a sponsor for that was basing it around something that was social impact. So a lot of companies these days have money that they're allocating to all sorts of different good causes outside of just making money.
To pay it forward, give back to the community.
Exactly. And so I thought about, what are the things I enjoy doing? What am I good at? What do I have expertise in? What can I leverage from a skill set standpoint? And for me, obviously, social media is something that I've been really successful at. And so I said, we can really help these small business owners and these brick and mortar businesses by teaching them about social media.
Where did you start from in the journey, and where did you go?
So we started out in Spokane, Washington, went down the West Coast, then we kind of went over to Texas, back up, did kind of because we wanted to hit all the states.
Jeez, you hit.
So did
you hit all 50?
We hit 30 of them before we got a little burnt out. And we also
30.
found where we wanted to move to in our new home base. And to be honest, a year of travel at that pace was pretty exhausting. And the East Coast is much more challenging for a big RV to navigate. You park it. Exactly. Yeah. So we mostly stayed at RV parks. We did have a generator, so we could boondock if we needed to. But getting plug-in electricity was
nice, having extra water coming in.
Yeah, extra water. Yeah, we love walking around and talking with people, and it's amazing. And it really allowed me to anchor in my belief that people are good, and that the way that the media portrays the world is, one, very incorrect and just not accurate, but two, is really detrimental to the way that we navigate our day-to-day lives. And if you believe that the world's a bad place and that people are mean, you're gonna have a hard time when the reality is that people are good and they're nice and they want want to do good things.
I love that. It's beautiful.
I love that too. We heard that yesterday at the event, not just if you're RVing or finding like-minded people anywhere. So at the event afterwards, people were coming up to me saying, there's the most amazing people at these things. I just love coming to these networking events because of the people that they meet, not just the trainings.
Where was your favorite place?
My favorite place. I don't think I have a top one. You know, Hot Springs, Arkansas was really
Hot Springs,
Sounds
Arkansas was
amazing.
a top.
Really cool.
What did you love about it?
only brewery in the entire country that uses spring water
Well,
to
there
make
you
its
go.
beer.
Okay.
Wow.
They still have one of their original bathhouses that was built in the 1800s.
So you
running
can go
as a full
swim in the
bathhouse.
hot springs there.
So we didn't go do that. The bathhouse feeds in the spring water into like this spa experience. So you go and you sit in and you just soak in a tub. And then you go into something called a sitz bath, which is for like your lower back. And then you go
I need
into
one
a
of those.
steam cabinet where
Whoa.
it's just like your head in this metal box and it
Jeez.
steams it with like 140
Whoa.
degree
Amazing.
steam.
Whoa.
And I've never felt so healthy in my
Really?
life after
Yeah.
that
You
experience.
can tell based
Yeah.
on her facial
Yeah.
expressions just now. It's like,
That was an amazing
it's
memory.
amazing.
I would love to go back there like
Yeah.
once,
It
once
sounds
a
like,
month.
well, we all want to go there now.
Yeah, we do.
So it's the only place I've ever been where there's public fountains and spouts where you can go fill up jugs of water. So people would pull up with their pickup
Yeah.
trucks and they'd
Yeah.
have like 50 glass jars. The tourism board should hire me, clearly.
How did you come up with where you were going to go?
Yeah, so we put together a list initially of like 350 cities, and then I
Wow.
just started eliminating them. So we wanted to pick cities that were, above 20,000 population, below 2 million population, just because it's really hard to navigate a big city in an RV. But we ended up in some pretty big cities, so just a kind of mishmash.
Did your sponsor want to have any say in where you went, or was that all you?
That was all me. We tried to have them line up some of their clients for us to go visit, but they really had a hard time on that side. There were a lot of issues, I think, internally.
So you had free reign to create your tour.
Yes. But once I created it, it was locked in, right? Because that was my word saying we're going to go to these spots. I couldn't just change things
Yeah.
up. So it was pretty structured, I would say.
So what's your, in closing, like, you've been through this, obviously, so people can go to TikTok and can they watch, how much of the journey can they see at this point of you crossing?
Not too much.
There's not much out there
There's
there
there's
pieces?
a good bit. There's certainly bits and pieces.
on TikTok?
Yeah, on TikTok, at Touring America. But for me, like my focus as a creator is to use my channels as the science lab, as the creative lab.
So you have you're always reinventing.
Yeah, I'm always
new.
reinventing. I'm always
Yeah.
testing so that I can learn things that I can share with other people and help them to grow, because I've been really blessed and fortunate. I don't really need to create for myself anymore. I'd much rather help other people who are struggling to be successful.
Beautiful. What would be your best advice for entrepreneur?
My best advice is test, experiment. Don't be afraid of failure. Seek out failure. Find what doesn't work, because that'll push you in the direction of what, we learn so much more from our failures than we do
So
our
true.
successes.
Yep.
Amen.
Fail
And
fast.
yeah, so
Fail
I think
forward.
create a structure that gives you a safety net for when you do fail, so you can fail safely. That to me is the key to being a successful entrepreneur, because it is a life of failure, and failure can become something really fun that you enjoy when you create safety around it. So failure doesn't have to be a dangerous thing. And I think so many people, it might be a dangerous thing for them right now because their expenses are too high, or they don't have a human support system, so that when they fail emotionally, they can go talk to people about those failures and process it in a positive way. And so I think, create safety for yourself to fail, and then start to have fun with it.
God, that's brilliant. So where do people find you?
LinkedIn's probably the best place
LinkedIn,
to
okay.
engage me. Yeah, it's just my name. I'm the one that pops up.
Maayan Gordon.
Got a unique name.
You do.
You have an incredible name and incredible advice there.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
If any of you watching today have any doubts that your current CPA is not helping you take 100% advantage of the deductions you deserve and helping you stay compliant with the IRS, then don't hesitate to get involved with TaxHive today. You won't be disappointed.